Hey everyone, Joe here with the Idaho Prepper channel, and as you can see, I'm not in my prepper pantry. I'm actually just driving back from running some errands in town. So I was getting some primer for my boat. I'm restoring my boat, and then I got a couple other things for installing security cameras. I'm installing a couple more security cameras on the property, but that's not what I want to talk to you guys about today. So this morning I was actually kind of skimming through the news. I usually just kind of skim through the news, for my own self-interest. But this morning I was doing it to kind of prepare for my next prepared citizens report, which I try to do a show at least once a week. But the fact is, like, if there's nothing that I think is of grave concern, then I'm not going to report on it. I mean, I'm not going to be one of these people that just finds a story and tries to fluff it up and then sell it to you like it's something that we all need to be concerned with. I'm just not going to do that. It's not in me. So today didn't really see anything. I mean, there was some stuff about the Fed kind of meeting and not deciding to raise interest rates or lower them. And I know a lot of people are kind of taking that and making all sorts of puff pieces with that. But the fact is, I didn't see anything. And I was thinking, well, is there anything, kind of going on in my personal life, like outside of the news stream, that I could share? And, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I think that one of the biggest things that I see, what's one of the biggest threats, and I see it in my day-to-day life, I suffer with it from time to time, and that is kind of the addiction to cell phones and to social media. And it's something that not a lot of people talk about, especially content creators. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me, a content creator, to get on here and start telling you guys, hey, stop watching. But that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because I honestly, I think these devices and just the overconsumption of news is so unhealthy for us in so many ways, just mentally, psychologically, physically, and spiritually. And I think everybody kind of knows what I'm talking about. I mean, I can name a bunch of things that have been, that have been going on with me and, my wife and people in my family ever since they got a cell phone. And it hurts your eyes. The screen time is terrible for your eyes. Holding the phone in your hand, it will create arthritis. The radiation that emanates from these things is really toxic for you. I mean, it says right on the cell phone boxes when you buy a cell phone, you should be keeping these things like 15 inches away from you at all times. So a lot of reasons, to not be, on your cell phone device all day. And obviously psychologically, just the overconsumption of news. We're just not meant to be, overloading our minds with information nonstop. And most of the information is it's kind of worthless. You think it's important, but it really isn't. I mean, all you have to do is kind of, if you're a product of my generation, I'm Gen X, so I definitely remember what it was like before these things. And we got along just fine. Things went on not knowing things. There was a funny comedian that talked about that, what kind of, how he had woken up in the middle of the night and started wondering where Tom Petty was born. And so he went to his phone and looked it up, and there it was. And then he started thinking there was a time where you would think about where Tom Petty was born, and you would just go the rest of your life not knowing, until one day maybe you ran into somebody and they knew, and then you would get the information that way. But there was a time where you would think of something and you'd wonder it, and that's just what it was. You just kind of went the rest of your life wondering, and you got by just fine. You didn't have to know that detail. There's so many things we think we have to have the answers to, but we really don't. But one of the things that I always try to make certain of, because it was one of the reasons why I wanted to start a channel, was I wanted to start kind of giving information. Is one thing I always notice when I would like consume news is they never leave you with a solution. They never talk about solution, especially like the news, cable news or radio news. Never gave it a solution. They just sit there for hours and spew, all the terrible things that are going on and the terrible things that could happen and blah, 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 blah. And then they just, end it like that. They never tell you how you could, what you need to do to get ahead of things and fix this and whatever. So that's something I always try to do on all, with my videos, especially on the Prepared Citizens Report. I always finish the topic, whatever it is, issue that I'm covering, with what you can do to kind of get proactive and prepare for whatever situation is going on. So my advice with the cell phones things, because I know we all struggle with it. Hey, as soon as you're done watching this, then you can click off. But wait, I got the sun right in my face right now. This is super dangerous. But okay, we're back. But one of the things that you can do to kind of overcome this and try to kind of get tapped back into things mentally, physically, spiritually. When you wake up in the morning, don't reach for your phone. I would say the first thing you should do, and this is something that I learned in my many, many years of drug and alcohol recovery. So I'm very familiar with addiction and recovering from it, and cell phone addiction is no different. And you might not think you're addicted, but if you're on this thing for more than like an hour or two a day, you got an issue. But first thing in the morning, instead of reaching for your phone and checking whatever you think is so important, the message, the email, the weather, whatever it is, make your bed. Unless there's somebody in it, of course. But make your bed. That's always a good one. This is something I learned when I was in treatment, because we all had our own bed. Make your bed and then pray. That's probably the first thing you want to do after that. If you don't know how to pray, it's, just say a prayer. It doesn't have to be anything extraordinary, but pray. Meditate. And when I say meditate, a lot of people, you automatically think of like Eastern mysticism, like Buddha and Zen, that kind of thing. But really, meditation for me is just thoughtful contemplation. I try to first stop, kind of slow my mind down, because usually when you wake up, your body actually naturally produces a lot of cortisol and adrenaline to kind of help wake you up. That's why a lot of times, even though you're groggy, you'll kind of feel anxious. And so try to kind of get ahead of that, slow things down in that way, and then think about your purpose in life, what you're going to do that day to make things better, to be more calm. Maybe you have a resentment going on or something like that. Like, how are you analyze that. Maybe there's something you're struggling with, like addiction wise. Think about where that might be coming from and what you need to do to not let that consume you, so that like when it does hit you, you get tempted with something during the day, you're not going to get caught off guard. So think about those things, and that's meditation. And then write. And I would say, with writing, write about anything. If you have a resentment, write a resentment. If your gratitude lists are huge, that's something that I would always do. Just jot down all the things that you're grateful for. And if you're stressed out about things, do 2 columns. Do a column of like, this is all the things that I have to be worried about, and then here's all the things that I have to be grateful about. And I guarantee you the gratitude list is going to be exponentially longer than the stress list, trust me. But the writing thing is so important. It's just such a good exercise to get that stuff, to get it out of your head and onto paper, so you're looking at it. It's a very good mental exercise. But trust me, if you do these things, pray, meditate, and write, the acronym we had when I was in recovery was PMW. But if you do these things every day, I'm telling you, you are going to see an extraordinary difference in your life within weeks of doing it. I mean, it's just going to make a drastic difference. So yeah, that's my reporting of the day. Sorry, a lot of people might not, maybe this isn't too interesting for you, but I think it is a serious concern. The cell phones, the amount of time we spend on them. And unfortunately, this is my second job. When I'm not painting houses, I have to do YouTube. And be honest, I'm not very comfortable in front of a camera. It might seem like it, but I get stressed out. I start thinking about that I'm not gonna remember what I want to say, and trust me, that happens all the time. I do a lot of takes, and I'm still learning it. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, and I'm just starting to kind of understand that the trick to being online and talking in front of a camera is you always want to think about what you're going to say. Don't be thinking about what you're saying as you're saying it. And that's it's a lot easier said than done. And it's something that I can kind of tap into, but it's kind of like skiing through trees. You never want to look at the trees that are right in front of you. You want to look at the trees ahead of you. That's kind of the trick there. But I guess, I'm getting a little bit better. I'm not saying quite as much. Trust me, go watch one of my earlier videos. It's just riddled with but yeah, I'm getting a little better. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, what your thoughts are on this. If praying, meditating, and writing is something that you want to implement in your life. Tell me about your the issues you have with your cell phone and whatnot. Because I do think the way these things are designed, the way especially when you're scrolling through the shorts, especially, because that's like my Achilles heel, man. The shorts can really suck me in, and I can get lost in those. But I really do think it is by design to kind of keep us just sucked in and consuming information to the point where we're just, where we have psychological mental atrophy. We can't even think. I mean, talk about brain fog. People are spending thousands of dollars on supplements trying to cure their brain fog, thinking that it's coming from food and stuff. Trust me, it's coming from the cell phones. There's no question about it. And nobody wants to talk about it online because everybody's going online, looking for solutions, and the content creators are never going to tell you that because they'd be without a job. But I'm going to shoot you guys straight. It's the cell phones, man. Obviously I'm not saying don't ever look at your phone, don't ever consume watch a video or something like that, but if you're one of these people that are just you just constantly checking the internet to see if something's happening, you gotta pull back, detach, touch grass, as they say. So that's my message for you today, you guys. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, go ahead and hit that notification bell. So with that said, until the next time, stay prepared.